안녕하세요. You're listening to 4 from On One podcast.
Welcome back to 4 from On One podcast, episode 61. I'm here with Hokjun.
Wow.
We are two sport-loving fans, and we love to go to sport. Today, we're going to talk about stadiums around the world, stadiums we want to visit, stadiums that we've been to, events. Let's discuss this. Hokjun, how are you doing, buddy? I haven't talked to you since your Christmas and New Year's. How was your Christmas and New Year's?
Well, Happy New Year, kid. Actually, we chatted, but so my Christmas was great. Actually, I spent my Christmas time and New Year in Osaka, Japan, and it was a great experience. And then, wow, I got the like type A influenza right after it. So, things are, what should I say, very complicated for me, actually.
Yeah. Well, mate, one thing I do miss doing with you, buddy, is going to sporting events. We went to a few baseball games when I was there. We wanted to go to some volleyball. That would have been what we'd be doing this winter at the moment. I haven't been able to follow the volleyball. Let's talk stadiums in Korea first, because that's where we all got to know each other is in the stadiums. Korean stadium atmosphere and facilities is awesome. Some of my favorite things about going to stadiums in Korea is the ticket prices aren't crazy prices compared to what I'm about to talk in the future. I'll talk about Australia. 2, I love you can take alcohol into the stadium. It's ridiculous, but you can do it.
That's great.
You can buy drinks in the outside supermarkets, plastic bottles, I think is the basic rule, and you can walk them in. And then the atmosphere. The other thing about Korean stadiums is the atmosphere is the Koreans love to sing, dance, and chant, which gives, especially baseball. A lot of people will find baseball a bit boring, but you go to a baseball game in Korea, all my friends that don't like sport have had a great time. Yeah, so I rate Korean stadiums and atmosphere, especially if you don't like sport, is if you're going to experience a sporting event, baseball in Korea is up there. What do you reckon, mate? Korea's pretty good, yeah?
Yeah, I've never been to like other countries sporting event or other countries stadiums, but like if I watching like MLB on like streaming or the TV show, then it's very quiet actually. Like you can hear like people talking, and you can only hear like organs like dee 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 dee, and that's kind of like all. And then why this is most exciting event of sports? Why you guys so like muted about it? Like I don't actually understand. Like if you're comparing to Japan, then in Japan they're still using their chanting, but like I think like Korea, we are kind of like late boomer for the baseball, I think. So that's why we don't have like any obstacle or any like mind barrier to bring the new technology into the sporting event. So I think that's why the like Korean baseball is so like musical and so enthusiastic for chanting and rooting for our teams.
And I think also because Korea, you got your K-pop dance moves, which are very Instagrammable sort of dance moves, and the cheerleaders sort of do these sort of dance moves. So everyone loves to do these sort of Instagrammable dance moves. So it's sort of the perfect dance in this this age of people doing Instagram dances as well, or TikTok dances, or whatever you want to call it. So it's great fun. It's not just baseball; they do it in the volleyball, in the basketball. I've been to all these sporting events in Korea. I've really enjoyed my time watching sport in Korea. Unfortunately, 2 years of that was not there to be done, but it made you appreciate it more.
That's true. And I think right now it's like spreading to other sporting events too. So
Mm.
right now, yeah, like for example, volleyball games. The volleyball games, they are actually hiring the same cheerleading team
Mm.
from baseball team.
Mm.
So they're putting the baseball vibe into the volleyball games there now, because the season is like quite opposite of the year round.
Yep.
Yeah. So
And let's
that's
quickly
why
just go through some just if people want to go to game. What would you say is a budget price to go to a baseball game in Korea? Just a random. This is how much you're gonna have to pay to go watch a baseball game.
well, so I think like okay budget is like $15, 15 US dollar, if you're saying.
Yeah.
Some of like outfielding seat of Jamsil Stadium, that will cost like just $8 per
Yeah.
game, so
I
that's
think
good.
basketball and volleyball are
And
about the $10 mark. So yeah, similar price.
yeah, yeah,
So it's
yeah.
very affordable. I'll tell you about Australia prices in a moment. But what about taking or buying beer in the stadium or taking a bottle of beer? You could buy the big 1 liters. I know in Kiwin we're buying a liter of draft beer, I think it was. And how much are we paying for a beer in the stadium or taking the beer into the stadium?
I think like you can only bring like certain amount of alcoholic beverage. I think you cannot like exceed no more than 1 liter actually,
Yep.
and it should be on the plastic bottle, not in the can,
Yep.
not in the glass bottle. Um, so if you're purchasing 1 liter of beer from convenience store, then it'll cost you like $4 or $5. But if you're purchasing draft beer in stadium, it'll be like $10.
And what about some food? What food can we get in a Korean stadium and some rough prices?
You can have like all the food in the stadiums, like in stadiums, they have like all kinds of food restaurant chains. So I think the basic is the chicken and the pizza and the hot dog. Chicken is for like $15, I think, and the pizza must be like $10 to $30 from your choice, and hot dog will be like $3 to $5. So it's not that like ripping off because they're selling inside of stadium.
Yeah. Well, let's go on to Australia, then we'll go worldwide. In Australia, it is ridiculous. I've been going to a lot of soccer games with my family. It's soccer season, football, if you call football. And the minimum ticket for an adult is $30 minimum. And that's
Minimum?
just, yeah, football's not that big here. The stadium's basically a third full. So many seats available. And I don't know why in Australia we go for charging Aussies big amount of money and have less crowd rather than trying to get a lot of people in the stadium and charging less money. I don't know why. It must be a logistics thing or something like this. So it's a minimum of $30 to go to a sporting event here in Australia these days. It used to be 20. You got to spend about $8 to $10 for a beer. Just a basic pie or a hot dog, you're looking at $5, $6. Um, yeah, so not cheap to go to sport in Australia, and
That is very. Hmm.
with the atmosphere, we don't. The soccer they try to sing and chant, but usually it's just "Come on, Aussie" or something like this. Very basic chant. It's not.
Really.
The soccer fans do try to do the old European singing, but apart from that, Aussie rules and Aussie Australian Rugby League or any like that. It's very basic chanting, very basic. You just wave your flags and cheer and stand up and yell abuse to the referee and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
What
uh
was
I I kind of So
Yep.
I kind of want to know, like Australia is very famous for the rugby games. So how much is
Mm.
it for like regular rugby game, and how much for the famous state of origin games?
Yeah, well, similar for just a regular game. I think you can maybe, if you want to stand on hill, maybe you can get the $25, $20. But if you want to seat, $30 these
Mm-hmm.
days. And the big premium games, oh, it depends. The one at the Queensland Stadium, they can charge whatever they want. It always sells out. The Sydney Stadium's a lot bigger and it's a bit more harder. They sell it out eventually, but um, it's not. They try to do family discounts, which is probably about 4 tickets for $100 or something like this, which is not too bad.
Mm,
But for a
all right.
solo person, I think you're looking about to sit right in the nosebleeds, right in the where you need binoculars to see the players. I think you're
Yeah.
paying $50 or so for that. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow. Right.
And what about sport around the world? You said you haven't been to many, but I know we just had the World Cup. What do you think of the atmosphere of the World Cup recently? All the fake
Oh,
fans and yeah,
the Qatari World Cup actually.
yeah,
I mean, uh, I don't know. I mean, that might be happen because like, I don't know. Like Middle East is very. I personally think like Middle East guys they love watching football games, but I think it's kind of relatively new for them the World Cup thing.
yeah,
I think that's why there are a lot of like fake fans are there, but at the same time, this is just what I'm thinking is that like they're just wearing their traditional wares,
mm,
like the white ones. It doesn't mean they're like fake fans or something,
no, no.
because
I think
I mean,
it's the world game. Yeah, it's the world game. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So they just go there and then like just enjoy the watching the football players from all around the world, and it's I think it's a good thing.
yeah. Well, while I was sort of on the soccer theme and the Australia Korea theme, I got to go to the Asian Cup final in 2015, where
Mm,
Australia played Korea in the final,
yeah,
and
that's true. Yeah,
we won.
yeah.
Um, that was awesome. And it's so funny. I had no relation to Korea at that stage in 2015. It's just funny.
Mm,
All these little links are coming back to me about Korea. Like on the cruise ship, people used to always talk about kimchi. I didn't even know what kimchi was. And all these little
oh,
hints about Korea were coming throughout my life. But yeah, being you guys, and I remember there was so many Koreans. This was Sydney
yeah,
Stadium. There was so many Koreans, passionate Koreans in that stadium, whether they were Aussie Koreans or Koreans that
yeah,
came over from Korea. There was a ton of you guys in that stadium. I reckon it would have been maybe
yeah.
70-30, which is pretty good. 70-30 Aussies to
Oh,
Koreans.
all
So
right.
you guys are very passionate, passionate supporters. And the South
Yeah,
Americans, what I'm so impressed with the South Americans and a lot of countries like going to Qatar wasn't cheap. And all these people, they must
true,
save up,
true, true, true.
save up for 4 years to fly from South
Yeah,
America to go to Qatar. I think they're paying at least 200. I think the cheapest hotel is like $400 a night or something like that. And
sure.
it's like
Yeah.
a S hole, like it's not very nice. So I reckon
Mm.
these guys just that's all they're working for is to go to the World Cup. I think
Yeah,
for
I
four
think
years.
they're like paying their all life savings to watch the final dance of Messi.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and the Olympics, I must say, the Olympics. I've been to 3 Olympics, and they're very fun. So if you haven't been to Olympics, even if you're not a sporting fanatic or don't even follow many of the sports in the Olympics,
Yeah.
the atmosphere has always been good. So in Sydney, Vancouver, and in Korea, Pyeongchang, uh, it
Mm.
is awesome vibe. So if you want to get a good vibe of nationalities from all around the world, I totally recommend going to an Olympics. I know Olympics sometimes gets some negativity about the money they're spending on stadiums and the wasted money and all that stuff. I get that,
Yeah.
but it's still good fun. Yeah, and for Sydney, it was a great investment. I think so. Yeah. Korea, I think you guys were a bit unlucky. You promoted that Korea has snow and you have skiing mountains, but then the pandemic happened, which sort of probably
Oh
stopped
yeah,
some tourists coming to Korea for skiing.
yeah.
What
That
about
happened. Mm.
yeah? And then I have been to a World Cup. I went to the World Cup in South Africa. Do you remember the World Cup in South Africa, 2010?
The Brazil World Cup,
No, South Africa one, 2010.
2010. What was it?
The Football World Cup in Africa. The Vuvuzelas.
The Africa. Okay. I kind of mixed up with the Latin America. Right. Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm
sorry.
not a.
Different continent. Different continent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that one I
Yeah.
did
The
not
South
enjoy.
African one. Yeah.
Vuvuzelas. Yeah.
That was quite annoying actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great, a great World Cup, and that South Africans really had a great time. Don't get me wrong, but that type of atmosphere was just horns, someone behind your head. And just, I did not enjoy that type of atmosphere. Let's start talking about dream
Yeah.
atmosphere. Any sort of events that you want to go to in the future, or stadiums that you want to go to?
Yeah, actually, there are two stadiums
Yeah.
that I want to visit, but they're all located in the USA.
Well, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one is Heinz Field. It's uh, uh, it's a home stadium for the Steelers.
Pittsburgh
Pittsburgh
Steelers.
Steelers. Yeah,
Yeah.
the NFL team.
Why are you on that one?
Actually, I think I have told you in private, but so my kind of like go-to team is Pittsburgh Steelers, and
Oh,
then
really?
the reason why is that I was watching like AFKN, the American Forces Network in Korea, and then they were playing American football, and then I have no idea. I had no idea what the rule is. I have no idea what's going on, but I was enjoying watching it. And actually, the team was Pittsburgh Steelers, and Pittsburgh Steelers they have like three stars: the blue, the red, and the yellow star. The three star, and then that mark is so familiar to me. And then like after I grow up, I recall it, and then it was the mark of CJ, the company, the biggest food company in Korea. That's why I think that mark is so familiar to me. And then also there was a player number 86 that I used to like really like fighting for him. He's kind of like small. He's not that small, but like he's small. He's a wide receiver, and then his play was like all time best. Like he's taking like 60 yards, 70 yard pass. Like his performance was great, and then turned out he was a like half Korean.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, it was Heinz Wood. Yeah.
Heinz Ward. Yeah, I know Heinz Ward.
Yeah, Heinz Wood is half Korean. Have you know it?
Chinja.
Yeah, yeah, that was surprising. So that's why I want to visit the Heinz Field. They have the same name, maybe. The Heinz Field, the ketchup ketchup company,
Yeah.
Heinz Field. But I'm like, I want to go there, and then I want to go waving my terrible towel. We say called the yellow towel for the chanting. They called terrible towel. So yeah, I really want to visit the Heinz Field.
All
What
right. And
about
what
you?
about baseball? Do you want to visit the modern stadiums or the old traditional stadiums? Our mate Gio's got a great
Actually,
stadium next to him.
yeah. Actually,
Wrigley
I
Field.
want
What
to.
would you choose?
Actually, I really want to visit the LA Dodgers field.
Yeah, it's a bit of
Yeah.
in between. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like in between, and then
What about Yankee Stadium? Do
my
you want to see Yankee Stadium?
my not a Yankee Stadium. I don't know.
No,
I think Yankee Stadium they changed it to a new
it's
location, right?
modernized. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think same location. They just modernized it. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. I heard like one good story about the LA Dodger Stadium is that like it's
Mm,
always the like Dodger Stadium, the LA people call it. But
mm.
when they go in the national broadcast for like championship games or something, they call like Levine Stadium.
Ah.
Yeah.
I want. I know. I want to Wrigley Field. I'd like to go to Geo's local stadium. I go for a lot of
Yeah.
the San Francisco teams. So the 49ers, I'd like to check out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Giants, San Francisco Giants. I actually saw the San Francisco Giants play in Colorado at the Rocky Stadium there in Denver. It was very the tickets weren't expensive at all. I think it was like $5 to sit in the thing. And in Toronto, I went to a couple of games. It was only like you could sit in the nosebleeds and it was like $2, $3. So it's not expensive to go to the baseball and sit in the bleachers in America,
Mm-hmm.
but the drinks were expensive in ice hockey and baseball. I didn't go to basketball or NFL, but you're looking at $10 for a drink in these stadiums. But the one thing I do want to experience in Korea, in America, sorry, is a college football game. I think the college football games would have better atmosphere. I like to go to the stadium.
Mm.
I should have looked it up. But the stadium. Have you seen the team that sings "Enter the Sandman," the Metallica song as players are running on?
I don't
College
know.
team. They're singing,
Which
a
one is
Metallica
that?
song. Enter the. Oh, I don't know how this goes. Google it, and
Ah,
they run
yeah.
on to say, and everyone's just fired up and cheering, and yeah, I'd like to check
Yeah,
that one
yeah.
out. I should have looked out which team that is. It's probably one of the Texan teams or something, or Oklahoma or something. I shouldn't say names actually because I don't know. That's pretty cool. But the college sporting events in the NFL, oh not
Mm.
NFL, American football and basketball, they seem to have
That's
good
cool.
atmosphere. Yeah, I'd like
Yeah,
to check
that's
some
true.
of
Like,
those games.
they have like their fighting sprees and like people are chanting for like their like local team. So like
Yeah.
they're a little bit of crazy for the game, and I
Yeah,
love that vibe.
tailgating parties, and the
Yeah, yeah.
barbecues on the in the car
On
park.
the
Yeah,
parking lots, yeah.
that's
I
pretty
really
cool.
love that kind of thing. Yeah, I heard like as you just said like Oklahoma City or and then like Cincinnati and Michigan University, they're like they're kind of known as like partying, you know,
Mm.
teams.
Well,
Yeah.
the Michigan team before the pandemic, I'm pretty sure I heard the stat they got 100,000 plus to their stadium consistently for the last 20 years or something like that. Like every
Yeah, yeah.
game, they get 100,000 people to their stadium. In the
Mhm.
you look at the winters, like snowy days, they always get 100,000 people to their stadium. I'm not sure whether that's Michigan State or Michigan, other one, but one of
Okay.
them,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that would be
Yeah,
amazing. Because a lot
we
of those stadiums, the old school college ones, they're totally open doors, no roof.
oh yeah, that's true.
You're in the elements. I think
Mm.
Pittsburgh, your stadium too, is in the elements. You don't get it much
Yeah,
cover over
yeah.
there. Yeah.
True,
My
true, true,
49
true.
is pretty open as well, but the weather's not as bad as Pittsburgh, I don't think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. I like as you mentioned the college football. I really want to see their like drumline performancing like on the
Oh, the marching
halftime
band.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
marching band. They look amazing. You know when they are like look from the rooftop kind of view. They're like
Mm,
moving around and then making like some kind of like animation from their
mm,
movement. Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome actually.
And I will just one more thing on the American sports. I will say it's not American sport, but I've only seen it in America. Is ice hockey. I did see some
Yeah.
games in Korea as well. Ice hockey is much
Hmm.
better to watch live than on TV. It's so much fun
Oh
to
yeah.
see live. Yeah, it's much better of a live sport than a TV sport. So I recommend that. What about Europe? Any sort of football teams or stadiums you want to visit in Europe? I'd love to see a Milan derby, even though it would be crazy, a Milan derby or a Madrid derby or something like that, Manchester derby. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
I got the opportunity to do a tour of the Barcelona stadium, the Nou
Mm-hmm.
Camp, but there was no game. It was just
New comp.
I
Yeah.
was working on a cruise ship and I got offered to do a tour and I got to see the stadium and underneath in the dressing room, all their trophies. Actually, it is a really good tour. You get to see all their trophies and their history. So
Oh.
normally I don't do those stadium tours, but that was a good stadium tour.
Mm.
So much history and they just keep building that stadium bigger and bigger and bigger. Like it's huge. Um,
Oh. Yeah,
what
that'll
about
be.
Europe? Mm,
Um. Yeah, as you just mentioned, I kind of wanted to. I'm not a big football fan. I'm not a big soccer fan, but I really wanted to see the vibe of the Derby games, like
mm,
as you just mentioned the El Clasico or the
mm,
Manchester Derby or the
mm.
Milan Derby or the Roma Derby. So
Yeah.
two in Italy, one in England, one in Spain. That'll be
And a
that would be awesome actually.
and a quiet like maybe not many people know, but basketball in some of these European countries, a lot of these the cheering and the fanatics they have in a football stadium, they bring it to the basketball stadium too. And you think of a basketball stadium being enclosed, 5,000
Yeah.
people, that sort of atmosphere inside a basketball stadium. I've seen some videos of it, like I think Greece and Croatia, and a lot of these professional football teams have basketball teams too. So the same fans sort of support both sports. And
Oh,
it
all
looks
right.
amazing. It looks amazing. Like they let off flares inside the stadium. They're chanting inside the indoor
Yeah.
stadium. It looks a little bit
Ooh.
scary, but fun. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flair must be. Oh, I don't know. I saw a lot of like hooligans they're saying, right?
Mm,
Like they're
yeah. Yeah.
trashing the field and then like, oh my God.
No, I don't want to do that.
So yeah, they're so enthusiastic.
Yeah. All right, mate. That's good. My top two. I don't know if you got to.
Yeah.
I think we might try to go to the next World Cup in North America, Canada, America,
Hmm.
and Mexico. My family has talked about it. I'd love to see a Super Bowl match, especially if my 49ers are in it. And then
Oh, all
I'd like to
right.
see in England, I go for the Blackburn Rovers. So I need to go watch a game of the Blackburn Rovers. They're doing okay in the championship, the second tier. I think they're in the
Mm.
top three at the moment. So come on, Rovers. any on the
Yeah.
to-do list for you to visit?
So I mean, like definitely for the Super Bowl game, if my Pittsburgh Steelers going up, then there must be great chance to watch the Super Bowl game.
Yeah. And we'll go to
And
Wrigley Field with Gio.
yeah, yeah, and
That's
also the I want my Samsung Lions going to the championship game so that I can visit my hometown, Daegu Stadium for the championship game. That'll be awesome.
yeah. All right, buddy. Let's start checking those off, start saving some money, and enjoy that. All right, buddy. I'll see you next time. Thanks for
Let's do
listening.
it.
If you want to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, we've got all that stuff up. We're putting videos on YouTube. We're doing travel guides. We've been working hard. Everyone's in different parts of the world, but we're still trying our best. So thank you for supporting us, and we'll see you next time.